SAAB stands for the Student Academic Affairs Board, and it's been around for 30 years now. It was created in 1982, and it's a board that's got about 30 members on it, and it's comprised of student representatives from every academic department. Primarily, our purpose is to hear, debate, and then approve or not approve of student-motivated grants. We've got 4 categories. We fund student-motivated research projects. If someone wants to go to a foreign country and do some ethnographic research, we'll fund that. For example, visiting scholars, if someone would like to bring a distinguished scholar to campus, we'll help pay for that, as well as going to conferences, and then we have an arts and expression grant. The money that funds SAAB comes exclusively from student fees.
My project originally was to study dams in the northwest region of China, and specifically the impact that dams have, that the construction of a dam had on rural farming communities in terms of employment impacts, economic impacts. Late in the spring and early in the summer, there were some riots in China that didn't allow me to pursue the original project that I had submitted. So I ended up having to sort of shift gears at the last minute. Despite that setback, I ended up studying the Olympics and their effect on student nationalism and the rise in student nationalism as a result of the Olympics.
If you look at the demand for the grants, I think that tells you a lot about the value, is that we receive dozens of applications every semester. So the students really want this service.
I came to Lewis & Clark majoring in international affairs and minoring in communication with an aim of becoming an international journalist. Basically, I found out about this because I had a few ties. First of all, Amy Timmons in the International Affairs Department sent out an email to all IA majors, to anyone who would be interested in becoming the campus liaison for this organization. And they're called the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting. And what they do is they focus on international stories that aren't getting news coverage. So they'll take unreported or underreported stories and bring them into the public sphere. The Pulitzer Center has their various projects, and they've sent their journalists out on tours of college campuses. So I wanted to see about doing the same thing for Lewis & Clark. And the Water Wars project was especially interesting because it deals with something that cuts across so many disciplines.
I think the SAAB grant was one of the best ways I could have spent my summer. I strengthened friendships with people I already had. I met new people. I saw new areas of the country I'd never been to, thought about new things. And I was able to be there for one of the big events of the contemporary China, to be honest. And for me, that was personally relevant because I'm an East Asian Studies major. I'm planning on doing future business there.
The people who were in attendance at the event got a lot of inspiration, mostly, I would think, because these are people who are really interested in bringing, like I said, these unreported news issues to the forefront, and they've gone and spent time, and a lot of Lewis & Clark students, it's this international influence with the emphasis on overseas programs here and knowing about what's going on in the greater world. The students were really inspired to hear about people who were doing that. We're learning deeply about those things, and then we're bringing them back in a way that was shared with the greater public.
I think SAAB reflects the level of curiosity at Lewis & Clark and students' willingness and enthusiasm for helping out other students doing their research, because not everyone's applying for these grants. So in a sense, they're cutting a check and not really getting any of that money back. But I think that they recognize the benefit that has to the community. They like seeing the results that come back, and that they really value one another's excellence. So students who aren't applying for these grants really appreciate the fact that there are students who need that money, would like to do that research, and I think it's really cool that they're willing to support that financially.